Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. We're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com, where I dive deeper into these subjects, sectors, and individual companies and share my opinions more freely on the website. We still have a discount coupon code going on. LEAP is that discount coupon code if you'd like to use it. Let's dive in. Let's see what's going on with the markets today. Looks like we still have a strong dollar. We were up today about 0.3%, and that momentum from the breakout, here's the breakout of the trend line, is still intact for a move higher. Yields are also showing strength today, which is contributing to the dollar strength. The 2-year yield still looks really strong. It looks like it's trying to break out of some sort of formation pattern that we are generating, and it still looks good to continue higher. The 10-year yield also moving its way higher today using this support level trend line, which is this line projected upwards. And that still looks good to try to make it to the upside. And then the 30-year yield also up higher today, about 0.7%. Hasn't broken its trend line yet. But if the momentum continues with the shorter end of the curve, I do expect the long end of the curve to eventually get pulled up with it. TYX TNX ratio, it is staying inverted, and it has stayed inverted for quite a long time. This is going to be inverted for what it looks like to be a few years. Generally good for precious metals when this uninverts from that inverted state. Bond prices heading a little bit lower as we had yield strength, and this still looks good to head lower with that momentum of bond price selling pressure. Gold up a little bit, up about $7 an ounce. Still looks all right. We're hanging in there. And we've got a much larger breakout from the longer term working its way on up. Silver down a little bit today, but it's hanging in there. It's kind of consolidating in the current spot that we're in. Perhaps we've got some sort of pattern that will generate or create and then eventually work its way on up. The reason I am biased to the upside is because we've broken this trend line to the upside. But that doesn't mean that we can't consolidate sideways for a little bit before heading higher, which is a possibility. Platinum down just a little bit. We pulled back today. We hit our head on some resistance here. There's your resistance going across. Hit our head on some resistance. We pulled back from that resistance, gathering ourselves even further. We've been gathering ourselves for a while in platinum, and I do think eventually it will break its way on out. What I look for next is I look at the lows, and if the lows are continuing to work their way up, wherever this bottom's at, that is a positive signal for a potential break to the upside. That's what we're looking for, a potential break to the upside eventually. And then palladium's hanging in there. It doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's trying to put in some sort of bottom process in this box. We've got a inverted head and shoulders, which is generally an end of trend pattern with a breakout, a little bit of a retest here. And we just haven't moved up yet. But it looks like it's trying to put in a bottom. XAU to gold ratio down slightly today, but again, it's like we're just holding at a very low level down here, waiting for the right market conditions to, I think, really move to the upside eventually. But this is an excellent location to be looking at the gold and silver mining companies. And with this ratio here, it's never, I don't think it's ever been this cheap in history, even going back all the way to the 1940s. CRB index is up a little bit today. It's gathering itself. Oil, I think, was down a little bit. But I still think the CRB index is looking good. We've got momentum to the upside. And maybe we've got a little bit of consolidation going on right where we're at today. The CRB versus the S&P 500, we are still working our way on up. It actually looks really good for the CRB index to continue higher, which means we're getting some weakness in the S&P 500. Stronger yields, stronger dollar. Sometimes that weighs on the S&P and the NASDAQ. And right now, CRB index does look like we could outperform. So GDX is up a little bit today. We are still right underneath an important resistance line that we're trying to break through. And I do think it will break it eventually. GDXJ is already broken, and we're getting a little bit of consolidation going on here, just back and forth. That's a consolidation. But I do think we have momentum to the upside, and it will continue to work its way on up. SILJ is no different than GDXJ or GDX. Just a little bit of consolidation is what we're getting here. And those are good candlesticks for a continued move higher when the time is right for that to occur. Crude oil down a little bit. I know some people were asking, well, how come crude oil is pulling back? Well, we did have a little bit of a surplus that we added to inventory. I do think that we are basically at a little bit of support where we're at. We've got a trend line going across here where we've got support underneath us. Lots of buying and selling pressure occurred right at this price that we're at. We'll see if we get some support here, and we'll see if we have deficits or surpluses adding into next week's inventory report on Wednesday. So right now we're kind of just chilling out here is the way that I view it. And we might get some really good buying opportunities in the oil and gas sector because of this quote chilling that we're doing. TTF gas, we're up a little bit, and this looks good to go higher. It's gonna work its way on up. So we've broken out of this guy here. We're probably gonna return move, and then we'll work our way on up. So that looks good. Natural gas in America is up 1.75%. Still looks like it's trying to base out. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, looks like we're doing the retest thing. Coming all the way back, doing a retest of the neckline. The neckline is this big neckline going across here on this inverted shoulder, head, shoulder. Everything looks good. We've broken out of the neckline, and we're doing the return move, the breakout, and then there's our return move back to do the retest. I would be looking right here, guys, for potential buy opportunities in XOP and the exploration production companies. OIH, which is the energy service companies, it's trying to turn around here. We were basically flat today. We're getting a little bit of a return move. We had a monster move here, guys. That's a big move in a one impulse move higher. We're getting a little bit of a pullback. We'll turn around at some point in here and then work our way on up, probably into summertime. Profits Uranium Trust is up a little bit today. This still looks a little bit weak. If you use it from this, we entered into this pattern from the top side down. We worked our way on up. And to me, this looks like we could see further downside pressure, fortunately. URA hanging in there at the moment, but with that URA, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we could see some downside pressure. URNM hanging in there, moving sideways right at support. And then also URNJ at support. And that's what we're going to look for is, can this support hold? TAN, we had stronger yields today. Not liking stronger yields. This still looks pretty weak. Could head a little bit lower. We've got copper looking real strong, up 2%. That looks pretty tasty. And we've got the momentum to the upside. Looks fantastic. COPX also moving higher, 1.83%. Let's go to the weekly. Still looks good to go higher, guys. There's not much selling pressure, not a reversal candlestick. It just looks like a little pause consolidation going on for these past 2 weeks. Lithium down. These are the ones that are sensitive to interest rates, and interest rates went up. So you throw in a pattern there, it's broken to the downside for lithium. REMX is a little bit lower today, down 1.35%. The S&P 500 is down a little bit, and it still looks like we could still head lower in the S&P. NASDAQ also heading lower. It looks weak. This looks like a topping pattern to me that could head lower in the short, medium term. KRE bucking the trend, just holding on, up 0.6%. But again, the increased interest rates or yields is putting pressure on the markets here in some of these sectors. Emerging markets is another one that's going to feel pressure from stronger dollar, stronger yields, and we could see it fall a little bit further in the short term, maybe perhaps back to this support region. XHB also barely holding on. I still think this has got some momentum to the downside, and again, it's from yields. Yields going higher. Moves bucking this trend. It looks like it's trying to turn up. It's back in the pattern. We've got a long-term support area right where we are located. So I do think that we'll probably get support in the general area of this $69-ish range. Iron ore down a little bit, but the momentum's to the upside. I think we're going to put in probably a shoulder there. So it'll be an inverted shoulder, head, shoulder is probably what I'm guessing. I'll leave that in there, see if that's right. Nickel still working its way on up. I know we were down yesterday, but this to me looks like we've got some upside, like it's trying to put in a bottom here and work its way on up. It looks good. Aluminum up 1.5% today. There it is, working its way on up. I think aluminum's gonna move here, guys. It looks good. Looks very good. Baltic Dry Index up 3.65%, probably because coal's up too, and iron ore's been holding on. So that does look good to go on higher for the Baltic Dry Index. We've got Newcastle coal up today, and this looks like it's breaking here, guys. This is when you want to get on it. This is what a bottom looks like. Big picture view, we've got a base pattern, a breakout, a retest. This is where I buy right there. Pop, 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 pop. That's where I get in. You guys can look at the midweek update. You can see my opinions on the coal companies. They're all highlighted as buys. But this is breaking to the upside here. I think it looks really good for a potential move higher. Bitcoin. Ooh, Bitcoin going up 4.4%. There we are moving on up, but we've still broken this pattern. There's your pattern there to the downside. And we'll see if the momentum can turn this thing around. We'll see. I'm not convinced yet. Ethereum also up a little bit. We've broken its pattern to the downside. Consolidation here. Kind of a weird consolidation. But we could also draw it upward like this. Say it's a flag pattern that drops to the downside. But again, we'll wait and see. Let's see if that breaks to the downside there. SMCI getting a little bit weaker today. We have broken this trend line to the upside. Could be doing a retest move. And we'll see if this is a false breakout or if this is a legit back test for a move higher. NVIDIA also barely hanging on, up 0.76%. We've got bearish engulfing galore over here. It's all over the place. That generally means distribution. It generally means that we could potentially head lower. So that is still game on for a potential move to the downside if the sellers want to step in and exercise that or express that opinion, I should say. But that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like. We have the LEAP coupon code going on, LEAP. And we have a question and answer session coming up at 5 p.m. Sunday if you'd like to attend. And that's for the members. And that's all I've got for today, guys. So hopefully you did all right. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.